Silence, a force more powerful than words, more commanding than action. For centuries, hidden in the mountains and temples of Shaolin, masters have discovered a secret few dare to embrace: the true power of restraint in speech. It is not emptiness, but a living, breathing energy that sharpens the mind, awakens perception, and transforms the soul. In this video, you will journey into the unseen world of silence, a world where every pause carries meaning and every moment of stillness holds the key to mastery. You will learn why the simplest act of not speaking can be the most profound tool for inner strength. Shaolin masters have long known that the words we release scatter our energy, cloud our awareness, and weaken our discipline. Yet those who dare to remain quiet tap into an intelligence that speaks without sound. We will uncover little-known teachings, hidden practices, and ancient techniques used by warriors who mastered not only their bodies but their very essence. You will hear how silence can reveal hidden truths about yourself, sharpen your intuition, and prepare your spirit for challenges unseen by the untrained eye. By the end of this journey, the quiet moments of your life will no longer feel empty, they will feel alive, potent, and unstoppable. Stay with me until the very end and discover why silence is not a surrender, but a power that can elevate every thought, every breath, and every action to a level most can only dream of. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets the path of self-mastery. Subscribe now and step into a world where the quiet becomes your greatest teacher and the unseen becomes your greatest ally. There is a world that speaks without words, a language older than time itself, waiting for those who have learned to be still. True listening is not merely hearing, it is opening every sense to the currents of life, to the subtle movements that escape the noise of ordinary speech. In the silence of the mind, the hidden patterns of existence begin to unfold, as if the universe itself leans closer to whisper its secrets. When the mouth is closed, the ears awaken, a soft rustle of leaves, the faintest change in the wind, the rhythm of a distant stream. These are the voices often drowned by chatter. Shaolin masters have walked this path for centuries, training their minds to catch the unseen, the unspoken. They understood that reality is layered, and the truth of any moment is never fully revealed through words alone. In quiet reflection, subtle truths reveal themselves. A friend's unspoken worry, a path veering toward danger, the rhythm of your own thoughts, they all emerge in ways the restless mind cannot perceive. Divine guidance too comes not as a shout, but as a gentle nudge, a feeling, a thought that surfaces when the mind is free from distraction. Silence turns observation into vision. The eyes see more clearly because the mind is unburdened. The heart understands more deeply because it is attuned to what lies beneath appearances. The world in its complexity becomes a teacher, and every small moment a lesson. To listen in this way is to awaken an inner sight, a perception beyond ordinary understanding. The quiet mind perceives what words often conceal: motives, dangers, opportunities, and the subtle flow of energy around you. It is here, in this sacred stillness, that one begins to truly see, not just with the eyes, but with the soul itself. There is a quiet battlefield that few recognize, one that exists not outside but within. Every word spoken carries fragments of thought, traces of desire, and hints of fear. In revealing these, the mind disperses its strength, and the soul becomes exposed to distraction. True mastery begins when speech is measured, when silence becomes a shield and a teacher. In the stillness of restraint, the inner self begins to awaken. Composure grows like a river carving through stone, steady, deliberate, unstoppable. Detachment is not indifference, but a clarity of perspective, a way to observe without being pulled into the tides of impulse. Alertness rises naturally, not as tension, but as a quiet readiness, a mind tuned to every movement within and around. Ancient Shaolin teachings speak of conquering the inner chaos before ever engaging the outer world. A warrior who has not mastered themselves is like a sword without balance, sharp yet uncontrolled, capable of harm as easily as of protection. Discipline is not punishment, but the alignment of thought, feeling, and action. It is the recognition that true power resides not in shouting, but in knowing when silence carries more weight than sound. Through years of practice, through repetition and stillness, the mind learns to act from wisdom rather than reaction. The heart learns patience, the spirit learns resilience, and the body becomes an instrument of purpose rather than desire. In this harmony, the self is no longer fragmented by fear or longing. Every breath becomes intentional, every movement measured, every thought observed. To master the inner self is to step into a quiet authority, one that commands without ego, influences without force, and moves through the world with precision born of deep understanding. In this silence, the chaos of the mind gives way to clarity, and the individual rises as a true guardian of their own spirit. There is a subtle current within every human, a force that cannot be seen but can be felt, a life energy that fuels thought, action, and spirit. Every word spoken draws from this energy, often unconsciously. Ordinary conversation scatters it, leaving the mind restless, the body weary, and the spirit distracted. Those who learn to speak less discover a hidden reserve, a power that flows quietly but endlessly, waiting to be harnessed. Ancient traditions have long taught that energy is sacred, a vital essence meant for more than idle chatter. In the monasteries of old, monks practiced silence not as punishment but as a means to cultivate strength and clarity. Each unspoken word became a seed, stored and transformed into focus, insight, and resilience. With practice, the energy that once escaped in idle speech is redirected inward, becoming a force that sharpens perception, strengthens the body, and illuminates the mind. Silence is not emptiness, it is a vessel. It carries the power to deepen intuition, to reveal truths hidden in plain sight, and to amplify spiritual growth. A quiet mind can sense disturbances before they arise, recognize opportunities before they appear, and act with precision without hesitation. This is the wisdom taught by the masters. To guard one's energy is to guard one's life, and to conserve it is to transform it into an instrument of mastery. Through deliberate restraint, the body becomes lighter, the mind clearer, and the spirit more attuned. Energy is no longer lost in needless words or fleeting distractions. It moves with purpose, flowing toward intention and insight. In the practice of silence, one learns that power is often invisible, subtle, and contained, and yet when awakened, it becomes unstoppable. The quiet becomes a forge, and the soul, a tempered blade, ready to cut through the illusions of the world with precision and wisdom. There is a subtle art in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Words, though powerful, often carry unseen consequences. A single phrase can provoke anger, ignite fear, or sow misunderstanding. Many fall into endless cycles of argument, frustration, and regret simply because they have not learned the strength found in restraint. True mastery begins when one recognizes that silence can be mightier than speech. The wise have long understood that influence is rarely forced through words alone. In the quiet, a presence can communicate more than 1,000 arguments. Calm observation, thoughtful action, and measured patience often speak louder than any declaration. By choosing silence, one creates a space where clarity replaces chaos, where insight replaces impulse, and where the mind remains undisturbed by the noise of reaction. In the ancient teachings, avoiding conflict is not avoidance of life, but the cultivation of discernment. The practitioner learns to recognize which battles are necessary and which are distractions, understanding that every unnecessary struggle drains energy and clouds judgment. Silence becomes a shield, a way to preserve focus and maintain harmony both within and around oneself. Through restraint, the mind becomes sharper, capable of perceiving subtleties that others miss. A quiet observer can sense motives, intentions, and shifts in energy that words often conceal. The ability to remain calm amid provocation is a sign of true discipline, a mark of someone who has conquered inner turbulence. In this stillness, wisdom moves freely, unbound by reaction or emotion. Decisions become deliberate, actions purposeful, and influence more profound than any spoken command. Silence, far from weakness, becomes a tool of power, subtle, precise, and unstoppable. In learning when to speak, and when to remain silent, one not only avoids unnecessary conflict, but transforms it into an opportunity for mastery, insight, and unseen strength. In the quiet moments before action, the world reveals itself in ways that noise and haste cannot capture. Silence opens the senses, allowing the eyes to notice subtleties, the ears to catch whispers, and the mind to understand what is truly unfolding. Every movement, every glance, every shift in energy becomes visible to those who have trained themselves to observe before they act. Shaolin wisdom teaches that patience is not idleness, it is preparation. The masters of old would spend years in stillness, learning to watch the flow of life as carefully as a river shapes the rocks along its path. They understood that timing is everything. An action taken too soon can scatter effort. One taken too late can miss the opportunity entirely. Through quiet observation, the practitioner learns the rhythm of events and the nature of people, aligning each step with precision and purpose. Acting without haste comes not from fear or indecision, but from a mind disciplined to listen, reflect, and wait. In silence, strategies form naturally, solutions become clear, and unnecessary mistakes fade into irrelevance. The world moves fast, but the one who masters themselves moves faster, not in motion, but in understanding. Their decisions flow from insight, not impulse. Their movements carry weight, not empty energy. Every moment spent in observation strengthens the inner self, sharpening discernment and cultivating foresight. The observer learns to read intentions without confrontation, to sense opportunities before they appear, and to respond in harmony with the natural order. In this stillness, action becomes an extension of wisdom rather than a reaction to circumstance. True mastery is revealed in the quiet balance between patience and action. By observing before acting, the mind achieves clarity, the heart maintains calm, and the body responds with precision. In this way, silence transforms from a mere absence of sound into a powerful practice of insight, control, and unmatched readiness. There is a sacred stillness that exists beyond the noise of the world, a quiet space where the soul can hear what the mind often misses. In silence, the heart opens, and the subtle currents of divine guidance begin to flow. It is here, in the absence of words, that the deepest truths reveal themselves, gentle, unmistakable, and transformative. Throughout history, sages, mystics, and warriors have spoken of this hidden language. God, or the universe itself, does not always speak in commands or proclamations. Instead, wisdom arrives in whispers, in pauses, in the spaces between thought and action. Those who rush to fill every moment with sound or speech often miss these signals, while those who embrace stillness attune themselves to a higher rhythm, one that directs life with quiet authority. Choosing silence is an act of devotion, a deliberate alignment with purpose beyond the self. Each unspoken word strengthens the connection to this invisible guidance, allowing insight to rise without distortion from ego or distraction. Discipline in silence trains the mind to listen to the subtle nudges of intuition, the gentle stirrings of conscience, and the patterns of life that speak in subtle, often overlooked ways. Ancient traditions understood that the soul cannot be hurried. In the quiet, reflection deepens, and the essence of being comes into focus. Actions born from this attunement carry clarity, grace, and intention. Silence becomes more than a practice. It becomes a bridge between the human and the divine, a channel through which wisdom, courage, and purpose flow effortlessly. In embracing silence, one steps beyond the ordinary and enters a space where inner mastery and spiritual awakening coexist. Words may fade, distractions vanish, and the soul aligns with a higher plan, guiding every thought, breath, and movement with precision, patience, and unshakable clarity. There is a subtle trap in the very act of speaking. Each word, each conversation can bind the mind to desires, to ego, or to the fleeting need for approval. The more one seeks to assert, explain, or defend, the tighter these chains become, and the further the spirit drifts from clarity. In the ancient path of silence, there lies a remedy, a way to loosen the grip of the world and reclaim the freedom of the self. Through deliberate quiet, attachments begin to dissolve. The need to impress, to argue, or to validate slowly loses its hold. The mind, once scattered by craving and opinion, becomes calm, observing without clinging. In this space, humility rises naturally, not as a lesson forced upon the ego, but as a natural consequence of letting go. The less one speaks for recognition, the more one experiences presence. Silence is not empty, it is fertile. It allows reflection, inner dialogue, and alignment with deeper truths that words cannot contain. The practitioner learns to notice the subtle pulls of desire without being carried away. Opinions of others, once a source of distraction or anxiety, lose their power, leaving the mind free to focus on what truly matters: growth, awareness, and purpose. Ancient masters often spoke of detachment not as renunciation of life, but as liberation from its illusions. Silence becomes the vessel for this liberation. Each moment of restraint strengthens discipline, sharpens insight, and nurtures spiritual clarity. By refraining from unnecessary speech, the practitioner creates a sanctuary within, a place where thoughts settle, desires lose intensity, and the soul can breathe freely. In this quiet practice, the self begins to align with something greater than personal ambition or worldly approval. Words no longer dictate the flow of energy. The inner world becomes sovereign, guided by clarity, humility, and enduring strength. Through silence, attachments fade, and the spirit emerges unburdened, masterful, and awake. Patience is born in quiet moments, often unnoticed, yet it shapes the very foundation of mastery. Each day presents countless opportunities to speak, react, or assert oneself. Choosing instead to remain silent is a subtle but profound test of self-control. In these moments, the mind is trained to pause, the heart to steady, and the spirit to observe. This practice, repeated over time, transforms fleeting restraint into enduring strength. The Shaolin masters taught that mastery is built not in grand gestures, but in small, consistent exercises. A single hour of disciplined silence may seem insignificant, yet its effects ripple outward, shaping thought, behavior, and energy. Each deliberate moment of stillness strengthens the mind's capacity to endure discomfort, resist impulse, and act with purpose. In this way, discipline becomes an internal force, invisible yet unshakable, guiding the practitioner in all aspects of life. Remaining silent under pressure is a mark of spiritual strength. When provoked, criticized, or challenged, the natural tendency is to react, to defend, or to argue. Yet those who have trained in silence respond with calm clarity, seeing beyond the immediate moment. Their energy is preserved, their judgment unclouded, and their actions deliberate. In this quiet resilience, the mind cultivates patience, the heart practices restraint, and the spirit demonstrates its sovereignty. Over time, these small acts of disciplined silence accumulate, forming a foundation for deeper mastery. The practitioner learns to move through the world without haste, to respond rather than react, and to engage with life from a place of inner authority rather than external distraction. Silence, in this sense, is more than absence of speech. It is an exercise of power, a test of patience, and a reflection of discipline. Through it, the self grows strong, steady, and awake. True transformation begins not in action but in stillness. Silence is not a goal to be achieved, it is a gateway, an entry point into a deeper understanding of self. When the clamor of words fades, the mind becomes a mirror, reflecting thoughts, desires, and fears with unprecedented clarity. In this quiet, the soul turns inward, revealing layers often hidden by distraction and noise. Withdrawing from speech is a deliberate act of self-discipline. It is a way to step back from the world's demands, to pause before reacting, and to observe the rhythms of one's own heart. Ancient masters recognized that the external world rarely changes as quickly as the mind within. By cultivating silence, the practitioner creates space for reflection, for insight, and for the subtle awakening of consciousness. Every moment of quiet becomes an opportunity to disentangle from attachment, ego, and habitual patterns. Transformation occurs when the mind, heart, and spirit are no longer pulled in many directions at once. In this state, clarity arises naturally. Decisions are made with precision, actions flow with purpose, and the inner world harmonizes with the outer. Energy once scattered in words and distraction is now focused, directed toward growth, understanding, and spiritual alignment. In the practices of the Shaolin and other ancient traditions, silence is the forge in which the self is tempered. It prepares the mind for insight, the heart for compassion, and the spirit for awakening. The practitioner learns that true mastery is not in controlling others, but in mastering the self. Through stillness, a profound transformation unfolds quietly, imperceptibly at first, until one realizes that life itself has shifted. The individual emerges renewed, centered, and aligned, ready to act from a place of wisdom, strength, and unshakable inner clarity. Silence is more than the absence of words. It is a doorway to strength, clarity, and inner freedom. By practicing stillness, conserving your energy, and observing the world without distraction, you cultivate patience, discipline, and insight that guide every thought, breath, and action. God's call to remain silent is not a restriction, but an invitation to awaken fully, to see deeply, and to act with wisdom that is rooted in the soul rather than the noise of the world. As you move through your days, take moments to pause, to listen, and to connect with the quiet within. Let silence become a tool for self-mastery, a companion that strengthens your mind, steadies your heart, and elevates your spirit. Even small steps of restraint in speech can transform the way you think, act, and perceive life's hidden truths. May this practice of stillness guide you toward clarity, resilience, and inner peace. Allow it to shape your decisions, deepen your awareness, and reveal the path meant for you. If this journey into the power of silence resonates with you, support our channel and continue exploring the teachings of the ancients. Like this video, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire, and step into a life where quiet becomes your greatest strength and every moment holds the potential for awakening.